Yep. Okay. I'd like to call to order the special meeting for Wednesday, May 11th of the Town Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call.
Mike Aurelio.
Here.
Brian Blazak.
Present.
Wayne Pondinas.
Present.
Michael Schilling.
Here.
Gerald Swett.
Here.
Joe Vizawati.
Here.
David Westland.
Present.
And Beth Hernandez, present.
Okay, so we have a quorum. Item number 3.1 would be ordinance 1765 to consider on first reading. Joe.
Okay, so this is for a favorable recommendation for the land use for the Plan Commission. This was recommended to the council. The file was complete. The minutes were approved. This project is before the council tonight for approval. This received a unanimous approval at the Plan Commission. This project is a mixed-use development with 15 single-family villa homes with a combined estimated value, and mixed use, with a combined estimated value of about $19.5 million. The attorney representing the developer is here if the council has any pertinent questions.
Mr. Westland, everything in order on this?
It is.
Okay. So I will bring it to the board if there's any questions or comments on this ordinance 1765.
Yeah, I've concerned about the water main. Is that being put in? Our engineers recommend having a water main put in from that corner to
Right,
go
so-
south, but I
so-
don't know if this is the time to
Right,
ask.
Councilman, this would not be the appropriate time. This is just specifically for the land use. So that would be considered at a later date.
Because once it's gone, then we can't come back and say, we need a water main, and that was one of my concerns.
Right, that would be at the next step of this
Okay,
process.
all right.
But a
And
good question.
And my other concern, well, the public is saying, let the developers pay for some of this stuff, and they're just gonna turn around and pass it on to their customers, but, and the other concern, I'm worried about the traffic at that intersection. Right now, I've gone by there, and I've seen cars that were 67 cars deep, and that's going down Sheffield, even going down, people in Greystone have asked me, and I don't know what they can do about the traffic. But other than that, the developer, the builders, the concrete people, they're all good people. My concern is the traffic.
May I address that?
Yeah, please.
You may.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council, good to be with you here this evening. Nathan Viss, attorney for the developer here this evening. As to that second question, that indeed is a good question, and part of the due diligence that my clients undertook even prior to purchasing this property, and then again in the last 4 months, has been to assess that very question. I was on a conference call the first week of April with a traffic analysis engineer from DVG, and we have been assured that the development that we are proposing here with the existing development, she indicated that she had sat there over the course of several days in the Providence Bank parking lot, and there is indeed at the present time sufficient capacity for this development with the existing traffic and room for it.
But sitting there and not having the counter on the road, back in '93, my builder owned that property on the corner, and it was 93, 94 in that area. There was 22,000 cars coming through there a day at that time. And now at 4 o'clock in the morning, it just fills up with cars. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's just like Route 41. That's my concern is, are we overcrowding that intersection? Even though there's stoplights there now, it's still busy. If you go to Santa Fe Restaurant and try and get out of there, it's kind of hard to get out of there sometimes if you want to come back and go east. So that's just my concern.
Doug from DVG.
I'm Doug from DVG. The traffic study was done by our traffic engineer. I have not worked on it myself. But I did want to let you know that we are planning significant improvements to Calumet Avenue in front of this project, widening turn lanes to make it move as good as we can. And the water main extension is on the drawings that'll be presented at the upcoming meetings. So we are.
Right, and I don't know how many feet they had recommended, but it's going to cover part of your.
We're taking it all the way across our front. the front of our property.
Okay, so it almost end up at where Greystone stops.
We are picking up there,
Okay.
we're tying into Greystone, taking it all the way to our north property line,
And then,
and looping back to the east as well.
do you have drawings of that,
I don't
what
have
you
it with
just?
me,
I mean, not with you, but I mean, I'd like to look at them.
so they're still preliminary, we haven't
Okay.
finalized them yet.
All right.
But rest assured, I've been looking at them, and I know the water main is on there. Because we had a hard time, we're doing so much improvements to Calumet, and most of it's happening on the east side of the road. We actually have to put the water main on the west side of the road, because there was no room on the east side of the road. So we have a plan, and it'll extend that water main.
Hey, Wayne. Can I ask a question, Mr.
You may.
President? Has the primary plat been approved yet?
No.
Okay, so in your primary plat, you will address the road construction,
Okay.
the water main, and those are topics at primary plat approval that the engineer, the town's engineer, will be able to look
Since
at
we're
and
already
approve.
working on it, I wanted to let you know,
Right.
it's in the works.
Okay.
So for Mr. Pondinas, for Mr. Pondinas, though, this is simply the approval of the PUD, the primary plat, which is going to get into the nitty-gritty, which you're worried about.
Right, and I asked that at another meeting for another developer. I just don't want that to pass by, because once you say, okay, good to go, they come back and they say, no, you already okayed it. That's
I
all I'm trying to get.
think we had that on Klein Avenue.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to point out, we
Oh.
haven't, they're not at that phase where you've given a
I
green
understand.
light
Yeah,
yet,
thank
so
you.
to speak.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I have one. So this is this is an improved version of what I believe we saw a couple months back, where you had a section of duplexes. I'm thankful that you guys went back and changed those to single families. I think that most of us could speak with that. We would like to have less density, so I want to thank you for doing that and changing that to single families. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, another request that my client had, as Mr. Aurelio indicated, we've been here previously, we've been here for extended duration, a lot of great dialogue with both a lot of folks that are sitting in front of me this evening, with the town manager as well as with the other commissions. It's a request that we have this evening, as my client indicated with the comment, could we meet next week for plat approval? Wondering to keep this moving expeditiously along, if we could waive the second reading and get final approval this evening from the town council, would be my client's respectful request.
I will leave that up to the council to see if we have a unanimous vote on the first reading. Well, I'll ask if there is a motion on second reading, but,
So as a zoning ordinance, this
Yes.
only takes one reading.
oh, it does. Okay.
So, yes,
Oh, I
is the
did
answer
that
to your
again.
question.
I'm sorry.
You're going to get one, it'll
Thank
be
you.
one reading, up or down.
I did that last time we did this too. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, so, gentlemen, do I have a motion on ordinance 1765?
So moved.
Second.
Is your motion to approve ordinance 1765
Yes, it is.
or adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1765.
I'll second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Hey,
That is approved 4-1. Adopted 4-1. All right, thank you, Jim.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Item 2 is ordinance 1769. Joe?
So this is basically a housekeeping matter to clean up the Parks and Rec's special revenue operating fund for the Parks and Rec Department. It's really more of a formality to create the account, and that's what's being asked of the council at this time.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the table? A motion to put it on? I'm sorry.
make a motion to approve ordinance 1769 on the first reading.
There's support for that?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Is there questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved on first reading. 5-0. Do we want to, do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1769 on second reading?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mike. Questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0, and that is adopted. Item 3 is ordinance 1770. Joe?
So the ordinance that's before you tonight is pretty simple. It allows the town building and planning department to waive the permit fees. Right now, the building and planning department doesn't have authority to waive those fees for town projects. So this would allow that would allow that mechanism to exist.
Okay.
And this would be just for town projects?
This is only for town projects, water, sewer, streets, parks, everything.
So we wouldn't charge ourselves
Yes.
a fee that
Correct.
we had to collect and then pay back to ourselves. That makes sense.
That's correct.
Yeah, refunded. What's that?
Okay. So let's get this on the table. Do I have a motion to consider ordinance 1770 on first reading?
I'll make a motion to consider 1770 on the first reading.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Do we want to adopt ordinance 1770 on second reading?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for
Second.
that? Thank you, Brian. Questions or comments? All in favor of adopting ordinance 1770 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. It is adopted 5-0. Item number 4 is ordinance 1766. Joe?
So this ordinance was approved by the council on April 27th, 4-1 at first reading. This is before you tonight for second reading. This amends the salary for the building and planning director. This was being presented to retain the employee who has over 20 years of proven experience in building, planning, and economic development sector of Northwest Indiana.
Okay. So let's get this on the table. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 1766 on second reading?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Is there
Second.
support for that? Thank you, Brian. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I think that that's a lot of money. I think before you give out a raise like that, it comes out to be like $8,200. I think we should evaluate that department first, see what's going on with it. Our ordinance is being enforced, our tickets being written right now. I don't think anything is being done that way. It's been that way for a while. We're extremely busy, and I think in an email that you guys sent out, or that Joe sent out, that you're going to have this position go to do something with the EDC. Right now, I think that office is too busy to have that person get into EDC stuff. EDC is has their own committee, and I think that before you guys vote on this, I think maybe you need to evaluate that department and see what's going on.
Do you think you need to hire another person, as you're saying?
No.
He's
I
overworked, want to
just
hire a
think there's
second person? That'd be much more expensive, Wayne.
No, I think it's, you need to look at that. How many tickets were written last year? How many tickets were written in the last couple of years? Is that being enforced? Are our ordinances being enforced? When we got elected a couple of years ago, that was one thing that I had brought up, and the guy that was in that position at that time was going to get on that, and Councilman Blazek said, oh, he can't wait till we get in, and he's all set to go. And we haven't accomplished anything with ordinances. I know it's extremely busy. We put in 1,000 houses, 900 houses in 2 years. But there's a lot of stuff going on in that department before you give out a raise of $8,200 and assign that person to do some more work out of that department. I think that, you got to think about that. And I'm not criticizing the person that's in there. He does a good job, but are we going to give him too much work doing something else out of that department?
Okay.
Can I add one thing to that?
You may.
Mr. President? So I just want to make sure my understanding is correct on this. We're simply matching an offer for this employee. If we don't match it, he has it, and he has a choice of accepting a job somewhere else. He's going to move along.
Well, you know what?
Hold on,
If-
wait, I'm asking a question. Is that correct, Joe?
That is correct.
So I agree, we need to be fiscally responsible, but we need to be wise also and not have a revolving door here, or stop the revolving door. So we're simply matching, we're not coming up with this figure out of thin air. We're simply matching an offer to keep an excellent worker.
Did
So
we
that's just-
see
and that's
the-
just, I don't want to debate, I'm just saying, that's my opinion.
Did we see the offer?
You think he's lying?
Oh, I was going to say, now you're going to doubt
Well-
his credibility?
No, I'm not asking that. Did we see the offer? But
One at a time, please, one at a time, please.
If I may answer
Yes,
that,
sir.
that's a very good question. Not only did I speak to the employee about this, but I also spoke to the gentleman who was making the offer, and they were taking legislative action to make that happen. So, you know who he is. I'll leave it at that.
Right, but again, are we going to start a precedent for other employees then? I need to do this, and I got this paper, and I want more money, otherwise I leave. I mean,
Well, I appreciate the fact that he did come to us and
right.
put it out there. So, I mean, that says a lot about his character, so.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to adopt ordinance 1766. All in favor of adopting ordinance 1766 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
That is adopted 4-1. Ordinance, item 5, ordinance 1767. Joe?
So basically what the ordinance is doing is this is allowing the department to have a little bit more flexibility in terms of staffing for the electrical inspectors. This was approved 4-1 on first reading at the April 27th council meeting, so it's before you tonight for approval.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1767 on second reading?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Questions or comments?
Yeah, which one of those scenarios are we going to adopt? We got like 4 of them.
Right, so the way I understand it, basically, he's going to be working with the part-timers in terms of,
So we might get 3 part-time.
or you might get 2 in an independent contractor or 2 independent contractors and a part-timer, so,
Okay.
yeah, it's going to be a combination, not all of them together.
Depends on the demand for the
Right,
job.
I just wanted, which one are we picking, or what are we going with?
So this gives them the flexibility to choose whatever is
Okay.
available best.
Right, he can coordinate the
Okay.
workload.
All right, then all in favor signify by saying aye on ordinance 1767.
Aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. Ordinance 1768, is a motion, ordinance 768, second reading. Joe?
So this is the ordinance that was before the town council, was approved 4-1 on first reading on April 27th. This is basically a reiteration of the stipends for the town employees for town events. This basically goes back to the same position that the town had last year with respect to the stipends, although it does add the other town employees as well.
So, once this ordinance is in place, do we have to continue to adopt this each year, or is it something that rolls over?
I think it would be prudent to have it included as part of the salary ordinance going forward,
Okay.
if that's the pleasure of the council.
And then what? We
What
would
does the
just-
ordinance state? That's the question.
We'd just amend it if
part
in
of
the
the salary.
future
Is it-
we felt the
Okay.
need.
Right.
Okay.
You know,
All right,
I mean, I guess we'll discuss that when we get the salary ordinance, started,
right, okay.
whether we want to include that as a regular thing, or if we would just want to include that as an amendment to it.
Okay, so we've already, we approved this on first reading, so now we're looking for an adoption on second reading. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Is there support for ordinance 1768?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Any other comments or questions?
I don't know, any comment was up from the last time, why have a stipend, just
Right.
pay them hourly.
Yeah.
That's,
And they will be.
and this is the third time that this has come up, maybe the fourth time now, so.
Right. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
That is adopted 4-1. Item 7, Resolution 2022-05-11. Joe?
So this is the resolution that will allow the town council president to sign the necessary docs for the CCMG. This project will fund $2.2 million in street improvements this year, $1 million of which is funded by the state grant.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2022-05-11?
So moved, and have the town council president sign.
Thank you, Mike. Support for that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Brian. Questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay.
I was an aye on that one.
That's what I thought, okay. We are approved 5-0. Item 4 is financial matters. We've got the docket in front of you for the park APVs, May 11, 2022, in the amount of $87,326.38. Can I have a motion to approve those voucher?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mike. Questions or comments? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Those are approved 5-0. Item number 5.1 is a motion to authorize preparation of request for proposals for the 2022-1 Community Crossing Matching Grant Project and direct Haas and Associates to prepare the necessary bid documents for the same. Does that require a motion to include my signature?
This is just for the
Just to go out-
preparation
just
for
to
the
go
bid
out to
docs.
bid.
Yes, and to
Okay.
put them out for bid.
Okay. So do I have a motion to authorize the preparation of the bid documents?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there support for that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mike. All, questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That is approved 5-0. And item number 2 is a motion to waive the permit fees for Parks and Recreation Department installation of the shed at Heron Lake Park.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes.
This motion is now moot since the town council adopted the ordinance earlier upon first
Okay.
reading.
Then I will look for a motion to adjourn this meeting, and so we can start the special study session. I beg your pardon? No? We'll have an opportunity to do that at our regular meeting, which would be in 2 weeks. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Support for that.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in